become input to other process. For example, let's take one process that is quality control. If we have deliverable as input, we will get verified deliverable as output. But we need tools and technique like inspection and testing to convert that input to output. Once you have verified deliverable, that is, quality has approved those deliverables, you send those deliverables to the next process. Can anyone guess basically what will be the next process? What will be the logical next process? If you can guess, please write in the message. What will be the logical next process for the deliverables? For the deliverables to move next, what will be the logical next step? Validate scope, validate scope, validate. Yes, the deliverables, verified deliverables will become input to validate scope. Here, you are checking according to your contract whether you accept the deliverables or you don't accept that deliverable. So whether you accept that deliver or you don't accept those deliverables, you get accepted deliverables as an output. So this is basically how all the 49 processes worked out. Now 49 processes have certain importance in them. Some of the processes only occur one time. Some processes occur different time. Some processes continuously starting occur. For example, develop project charter. It occurred only one time at any stage in the project. Develop project charter only occur at any predefined location in the project. Whereas you acquire resources according to your need, and you can keep on acquiring resources from the start of the project till the end of the project. And some of the processes are continuous. For example, you are continuously doing monitoring and control, you are continuously executing, you are continuously doing quality control, you are continuously doing health and safety activities, you are continuously doing other many activities. So you have to decide what you do continuously and what you do one time and what is according to the requirement. It's all according to the all requirement. So let's move forward. There are 49 processes, 5 process group, 10 knowledge areas: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. Initiation means we start with something. In planning, we define, establish scope, and basically plan how things will be executed and closed. In execution, we perform the real work. In monitoring and control, we ensure whatever we are doing, we are tracking them. And then we finalize each and everything. Now, this slide is extremely important. This tells us why we are initiating anything. This tells us why we are doing something, how we are planning, how we are moving anything, what to produce, how to produce. Then executing, we are actually producing that thing. All the time we are checking from the monitoring and controlling that what we have planned, are we producing it or not? Are we producing what we planned or we are not producing what we planned? And at the end, we close the project. 10 knowledge areas are this, and then we get this magical grid: 5 process group, 10 knowledge area. 5 process group, 10 knowledge areas. And from 5 process group and 10 knowledge areas, what do we have? We have 49 processes. We have 49 processes showing us that how to execute anything. 49 processing telling us how we can produce anything. So let's start this 49 processes. But can you tell me, can you make this grid, this magical grid, without looking at it? Yes or no would be enough. Please write yes if you can make this magical grid. If no, please write and or no would be sufficient. Okay. We are getting the comments. No from Ali. Yes, yes, no, no. Okay, yes, no, yes, no. Okay, yes, no. We are getting different type of comments from different participants. Okay, so I would suggest that you learn this how to make a this magical grid. This will be very helpful, and maybe in the next classes we will also focus on this. Or otherwise, I can share a link. In last masterclass we discussed it how we do it. Okay, now let's focus on project integration management, the most important knowledge area in all knowledge areas. Why I'm saying the most important knowledge area? Because in order to clear your PMP exam, you need to focus on all of the 5 domains. And this process have all the processes in it. It has something from initiation, something from planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. And closing has a particular importance in these processes because closing has only one processes. So when you're preparing for your exam, give special focus to initiation and special focus to closing. Okay, now let's start with initiation. In initiating in the integration knowledge area, we have developed project charter. What are we trying to do in the develop project charter? In develop project charter, we are making a formal document. We are making a document that is authorizing the project manager to use the authority. It is giving us the authority, resources, how we are going to make a project. It is telling us that what are the start boundaries, what are the end boundaries, what is the success criteria, and how the success would look like at the end of the project. So you need to make a project charter if you haven't done it in any process. Now, very important question from exam point of view. If you are not taking notes, I will highly suggest that you start taking notes. Who writes the project charter? Write answer in the comments. Who writes the project charter? You have 15 seconds. Who writes the project charter? Project sponsor, okay. Anyone else? Sponsor, sponsor, yes. Project initiator or project sponsor write the project charter. Key stakeholders identified. We understand what are the things, but we have to move away and how we can proceed. Now, how this master class is designed, we will study all 49 processes, the overview of 49 processes, and we will just have an idea of ITTOs. So the ITTOs for project charter, develop project charter are business documents, agreements, OPS, expert judgment, meeting, interpersonal skills, data gathering skills, and all of these things are making project charter and assumption log. Whenever you are studying any process, always focus on the output. For example, right now, the process is develop project charter. You have to focus on the output, and the output is project charter. The second important output is assumption log. Then you look, how can we produce the charter? Ask yourself, how can we produce the project charter? We need business documents. And what are the business document? Business case, benefit management plan, agreements, OPA, EF. And what are the tools and technique that can help us to convert these inputs into outputs? We need experts to tell us how we can do. We need meetings, we need interpersonal and team skills and facilitation data gathering skills. So make each process like this. Give each process a due respect and try to understand what does this means, how this linked into the complete project management. Once you have a charter, understand this diagram very well. This is for each process. Once you have make a document, it becomes the input to other documents. For example, In the develop project charter, we have project charter and assumption log. The project charter becomes input to project management plan, close the project, plan scope, collect requirement, define scope, scheduling, plan cost, plan quality, plan. Almost all planning processes and identify stakeholder and closing processes. So you need to understand how this move and most importantly, why this move. For example, we have project charter in almost all the planning processes. Why we have? Because we need to understand how this help us in development of scope management, how this help us in development of plan risk management. So understand this thing in a way that we have input and it is becoming an output. So now let's study develop project management plan. Develop project management plan. Project management plan is basically mother of all plans. This is a process of defining, preparing, coordinating, and integrating all plans. Think of this as a master plans, which has all the plan inside it. It is a central document which defines all the work. Now, if your project management plan is not approved, can you start your work? Yes, would be enough. Yes or no? You have 10 seconds to write the answer. If your project management plan is not approved, can you start the work? No, no, okay, no, good. You cannot start the work unless project management plan is approved. Whatever the work you are going to execute, that work has to be approved by the sponsor, by the committee. Otherwise, your work will not be approved and your plan will become useless. The ITTOs are we have project charter, we have input from all other processes because in the start, the project management plan is just an empty document. You are filling it. It is an iterative process. This means there is a repetition in this process. And the major tools and techniques that will be utilized in it are expert judgment, data gathering, interpersonal and team skills, meeting. And you will get output as project management plan. Now, project management plan becomes input to almost all the processes. You need to understand that project management plan has 18 other plans and we are going to make 10 of those plans and 3 baselines. We are going to make scope, requirement, schedule, cost, quality, resource, communication, risk, procurement, stakeholder, chain, scope baseline, schedule baseline, 3 baseline, 10 plans and 3 baselines. 10 plans and 3 baselines. So you can say that total we are going to make 13 different things. And we have these 33 documents. You don't need to remember these 33 documents, but you need to understand what does activity attributes mean? What does risk report or schedule data mean? Okay, direct and manage work. Here is where the work is done. This is the only process in which actual or real work is done. The actual works done in this process. So as a result, we get deliverable, the thing for which we are trying to the project. We get work performance data. We get issue log and change request in this process. We get all these things in this process. This is one of the most important process because the work is being done here. As a project manager, you need to understand what I'm going to do here and how I can improve all those things. Now, these are the ITTOs. We have deliverables, work performance data, change request, and issue log. Always focus on the output, how they linked to the input, and what is the utilization of tool and specific tool and technique in this scenario. Then you need to know this chart. Then a very important process, manage knowledge. Most of the time, this process get neglected. And PMP or PMI has added this process just in 6th edition. It was not included even in the 5th edition. It's a very important process in which knowledge is created and knowledge is utilized. Lesson learned are produced. Very important thing to know is there are two type of knowledge: explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. Explicit knowledge is the knowledge that can be converted into numbers, facts and figures, and that is easy to transfer. Can anyone tell me what is tacit knowledge? Write in your comment what is tacit knowledge. Why performance baseline is not a baseline? Performance baseline is the criteria from which we are measuring. We have three baseline according to three constraints: scope, cost, and schedule baselines. Okay, experience, skills, benefit. Yes, your answer is right. Sayyid Muhammad Ali Umar. The ITTOs are this: lesson learned, registered is the major output of managed project knowledge. So then we have monitor and control project work. This is basically the where all the configuration is being done. All the monitoring and controlling are sending their information to this one process. And here the information is being collected and being converted into work performance report, which help us in next process to decide whether we should take it to the next level, whether we should make the change request or not. So work performance information is coming here and getting converted into work performance report, making it sense. This is the responsibility of project manager to do this process, to do monitoring and control project, work, combine the work to understand which are the changes that can be implemented, which are the changes that are most important to the project. Then these are the ITTOs. You have all the forecast in your hand. You have work performance input and it is getting converted into work performance report. Then you have perform integrated change control. Here, this is one of the most interesting processes. All the changes in the baselines have to go through this process. The major function of this process, and this is very important, you need to know what is the single most important function of the process. The single most important function of perform integrated change control is to approve or deny the change request. It is managing all the changing and communicating the changes to all the project stakeholders. It is managing and communicating all the changes to stakeholders. It is basically a centralized process so that we don't get scope creep. We don't go over the budget. We manage all the risk according to our baselines. These are the ITTOs, and we get the major output as approved change request. Then, in the end, we close the project or phase. My friend, give special focus to this process because it has specific percentage in the exam. This only process is one of the most important process in the complete process. You have lesson learned registered, you have earned value analysis, you are doing variance analysis, and you are ensuring that all procurement, all activities has been completed and all the project is completed according to the all documents. Now this is possible. The project is not completed, the project get terminated or the project is stopped. Can anyone mention why the project can be stopped for any reason? Can anyone mention any reason? Okay, you have 10 seconds. Please mention the reason why projects can be stopped. The project technically is obsolete. Okay. Market changes. Okay. Okay. Allegations. Good. Government. Good. Good. Okay. Budget is exhausted. No budget to complete. Yes. All these reasons are enough to cancel the project, to postpone the project, to stop the project, to terminate the project. So these are the ITTOs that you need to understand: expert judgment, data analysis, document, variance analysis, meetings, output, final product, services, and so on. This is all about integration. So now let's move to project scope management. How we manage the scope, how we define the scope. Now understand this thing in a very interesting way. All the planning process has to do just to ensure to make a plan so that other work can be done. In plan scope management, we are planning how scope will be done, how scope will be verified. So we are creating a plan telling us how scope will be defined, validated and controlled. It gives us guideline and direction how the scope will be ensured. So these are the ITTOs for this process. In if you see, we have two plans here: scope management plan and requirement management plan. With the help of this plan, we collect all the requirement and we ensure that requirement are unambiguous, requirement are traceable, requirement are consistent, complete, and they are acceptable to stakeholders. And they are the basis from which all the project scope will be made. So once you have the requirement through these ITTOs, give special attention to context diagram and prototype. Always give focus to those special output, those special input and tools and technique that are only used in this process, in any process. So once you have a requirement, you define scope from that. You have got all the requirement, you get project scope statement. Project scope statement is a detailed description how the project scope will be managed, what are the in boundaries, what are the out boundaries, what is included in the project and what is excluded from the project. This is the ITTO of the project, and we have project scope statement. The only purpose of defined scope is to get project scope statement at our hand. Once you have that, you go to make work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structure is basically a hierarchical division of the work. You take the deliverable and decompose into the smaller components. You decompose into the smaller component so that you can utilize them according to your structures. You have work package at your hand. It is giving us vision what to be done. And work package, for work package we have rule, maybe rule of thumb you can say, generally a work package should be from 8 to 80 hours. So work package are useless to understand without the work breakdown structure dictionary. We have work breakdown structure dictionary and we combine the project scope statement, work breakdown structure dictionary, and we called it as scope baseline. So here we have our one important baseline at our hand, that is called scope baseline. Once that is clear, we go to the monitoring and control of scope, that is validate scope. The only reason of validate scope is to accept the deliverables that has already been accepted by the quality. Accept or reject, of course. Accept or reject the deliverables that has been accepted or rejected by the quality. So then these are the ITTOs. Then you go into the control scope. In the control scope, you try to go back to the baseline. You see how the scope is going. You are monitoring the status of project and product scope, and you are trying that you don't go out of scope baseline. You are managing changes, and you ensure that whatever the changes you get, all those changes get passed through perform integrated change control. So we have scope baseline here, work performance data, which we produced in direct and manage work, and we get work performance information and change request plans update. Very important point from your exam. You can say that tip for the exam. In all monitoring and control processes, you get work performance data, OPA, project management plan document as input, and from scope till stakeholder, you get work performance information and change request as output. This all work performance information go to monitoring and control project work and get converted into work performance report. So that's all about scope. Now we move toward schedule management plan. In schedule, basically we defined how we are going to manage all the scheduling, how we are going to establish the policies, procedure, how the basically schedule will be developed, what are the guidelines, all the planning processes. For example, plan scope management, plan schedule management, plan risk management. They have almost the same ITTOs. Find the pattern. You see, in the scope, plan scope management, we have project management plan, EFOPA, project charter, same input. We had the output as scope and requirement management plan. Here we have schedule management plan and output. We have expert judgment and meetings. Now these inputs, these tools and technique are coming everywhere. So don't try to memorize each and everything. Try to get thing into a logic that okay, all 10 processes, these are the ITTOs. All monitoring control processes, these are the ITTOs. In this way, out of 49 processes, you have cleared already 20 processes. So in this way, find a logic, find a pattern, try to get the pattern under your brain. Okay. Now in the create WBS, we made work package and define activity. We further divide those activities into smaller components through a decomposition technique so that we can utilize those work breakdown, and we have activity list and activity attributes in our hand. Now we sequence those activities which we have by using preceding diagramming method. By using preceding diagramming method, we have logical relationship like finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, start to finish, dependencies, leads and lags, and then we do critical path method, and we have project schedule network diagram in our hand. Once we have made that, we estimate the duration. We can utilize analogous estimation, parametric estimation, 3-point estimation, triangular distribution, beta distribution in 3 point. We can have reserve analysis to identify how much this activity will take. Now, another tip for your exam. Whenever you have estimate whatever you are going to estimate, here you are estimating duration. In cost, you will estimate activity cost, then you will estimate activity resource. You will always have whatever you were estimating, cost estimation, duration estimation, resource estimation, and basis of estimates at your output. And almost the same tools and technique and almost the same ITTOs. So now just understanding this process, we understand three processes. So try to understand analogous, parametric, 3-point, bottom up, data analysis, alt analysis, and so on. Then once we have the activity list and we have project schedule network diagram, we have schedule constraints, we develop the schedule. This is one of the most important process in the complete PMP. Why? It has the most ITTOs. It has the most ITTOs. So make sure that you understand this process. You understand what is lead and lag, what is schedule compression, fast tracking, what is uh, crashing, what is leads and lag, what is what if analysis, resource optimization. Can anyone tell me what are the two techniques for resource optimization? Please write in the chat box. We have 10 seconds. What are the two techniques for resource optimization? What are the two techniques for resource optimization? What are the two techniques for resource optimization? Okay, no, smoothing is okay, crashing is not. Umar, anyone else? Leveling and smoothing. Yes, leveling and smoothing. You are right. Then we control our schedule. Now this is very important. If you are using agile methodology, you need to understand how you manage the backlog. If you are using the traditional methodology, you need to see how you are going to get work performance information, critical path method, critical chain method, CPI, SPI, earned value analysis, how you are going to do all those ITTs. Then once we have our scope baseline, and here we have schedule baseline, we are going into the cost. And into the cost, the biggest thing is to get our cost baseline. Similarly, in the plan cost management tells us how we are going to manage the costing processes, how the cost will manage, what are the standards of the organization. These are the ITTOs. In the estimate cost, just like estimate duration, we do the approximation, how the resource will be estimated, how the resource will be cost us. So these are the ITTOs for the cost estimation. You see, estimate cost have cost estimate, basis of estimate. Almost the same tools and technique, only cost of quality is different. Almost the same inputs. So try to understand in this way. Once you have estimates, you go and make your budget. Please make sure that when you are making cost baselines have contingency reserves in them. All the estimates plus contingency reserves are called cost baseline. Management reserves are not included in them. Management reserves are not included in them. When you add management reserve to the cost baseline, you get project budget. So you get for the major output are cost baseline and project funding requirement. Then you try to control this cost baseline. You try to get the forecast. You try to do to complete performance index variance analysis to manage this cost into the best possible way. Now we have three baseline: scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline at our hand. Now in the quality, in the plan quality, you basically manage how you are going to manage the quality, how you are going to plan quality in the best possible way. That's why we are having benchmarking here, brainstorming here, cost of quality, how the cost of quality is going to understand, how we can understand what is the cost of quality. We get matrices here to understand that. Now we do manage quality, or also known as quality assurance. This is the only monitoring and control process that in which this is the only execution process sorry this is the only execution process that is above the monitoring and control process. Why? Here we are doing prevention, and prevention is always better than correction. Prevention is always better than correction. So we are doing managed quality. We are getting quality reports, test and evaluation documents, and in quality control, we are doing that. Whatever we are doing, we are ensuring that we does not exceed our quality standards, or sigma levels are in control, or quality is in our hand. We are identifying what are the reasons of poor quality processes, how you can recommend the actions, how you can follow what basically needs to done in order to ensure your quality comes back into your hands. Then you control the quality accordingly. These are the ITTOs: checklist, check sheets, statistical sampling, root cause analysis like 5Y, Ishivika diagram, influence diagram, testing report, data representation, and so on. So once you are done with the quality, you focus on your resources. There are four type of resources: money, material, machinery, and manpower. Money, material, machinery, and manpower. In plan resource management, we identify and document the skills required for our project, responsibility relationship and the documents, and what are the engagement level, staffing management, what are the timetable for all resource. And these tools and techniques will be utilized. We get resource management plan, we get team charter. We try to understand what type of resources we are using, what are the organizational theory, Maslow theory, theory X, theory Y, what is the expectancy theory, what is the Tuckman model, forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning, how people perform, how they understand. You try to understand your theories so that you can manage your resources. Then you have estimate activity resources, in which you estimate your material, human resources, equipment, supplier, in order to ensure your all activities are estimated in the best possible way. You develop more accurate estimates of cost and duration when you know your resource estimate. You see, all three estimates have resource estimate, basis of estimate, analogous, parametric, data analysis, is almost the same tools and technique. So try to understand in this way. Then you acquire your resource. You are getting your team. This is an execution process. You are acquiring your team member, facility, equipment, material to complete the activity. The key benefit of this process is ensure that whatever the resource you are acquiring, they are on the time, there you are having them on the right time and at the right place. Now, very important tools and technical pre-assignment. Some of the stakeholders or some of the resources are selected before you are making virtual teams, especially with the COVID time. You get physical resource assignment, resource calendar, project team assignment, change request. Then you develop the competencies in your team. You get their team interaction. You try to make your overall team environment and project performance. You see how you can make your team in the best possible way, maybe by co-location, maybe by looking into the best available technology, interpersonal skills, trainings, recognition award, team assessment, and so on. Then you have project documents updates. You manage your team, you track your performance, you get the feedback, you resolve the conflicts of the resources, you check how the team can be managed, you see the team behaviors, manage their conflicts. Here you get the conflict resolution. You always try to get the win-win situation, that is problem solving. You solve the problem. You try to solve the problem. You never try to accommodate or forcing or withdraw or never try to avoid. Always try to collaborate or you to try to solve problem solving. Then we manage the team in this way. We try to control the resources to ensure that we are producing the assignment they were required. We are ensuring that resources are allocated properly. We are monitoring what we were planned and actual utilization of these resources in the control resources. You see, all the controlling processes are having work performance information, change request as output, work performance data, agreements, work performance data and OPA as input. So keep this in mind. And you are trying to solve the problem that resource have in between them. Then you go to the communication. In communication management, we have plan communication, manage communication, monitor communication. Always remember, you cannot control communication, you can only monitor communication. You plan the communication, what are the approaches to use, what is the right format, right time, right audience, right impact to get the effective communication. You focus to give only the information that is needed. The key benefit of this process is that you identify and document the approaches that are the best according to the stakeholders. These are the ITTOs. You see what is the communication requirement analysis, what are the communication model, communication method, interpersonal and team skills. So you get the communication management plan in your hand. Once you know what is the communication management plan, you create the communication, you collect the communication, you distribute the communication, you store it, you retrieve it, and you dispose it. Then the key benefit of this process is that it enables the effective communication. You know what you need to communicate and with whom you need to communicate. This is very important and paramount for all the stakeholders to ensure that the project communication is in the best possible way. Now you see, we have work performance report as an input in monitor communication and manage communication. Why? Communications are very important. Project manager gives 90% of his time in communication, and most of the time is that is managed communication. He is communicating with all the stakeholders. Then you monitor the communication, you see what is the optimal way to communicate. The key benefit of this process is that it ensures the optimal information flow among all communication participants. You monitor the communication and you ensure the communication is being effective. Once you have communication at your hand, what do? You go and you do the risk management. Risk management is very important. It is an iterative process. In plan risk management, you identify what risk approach to be used, what is the best risk approach to be utilized, how the best risk approach can be found, and why you need to do this risk assessment approach and why not other approach to be utilized. So in this way, you manage all your risk in the best possible way. Okay. So in the risk management, we are identifying what to do, what are the risks We are planning how to make a risk register, risk report, how to basically plan the risk, how to execute the project risk management activity, what is probability and impact, how to treat with the risk, how to monitor and review. It ensures that the degree, type, and visibility of risk management are according to our plan, and we are managing according to our the risk requirement. So we have risk management plan at our hand. Then we identify risk. We are getting a risk register. Very important thing. Here we are getting the list of all the risk. Just the list of all the risk. Using these tools and technique like SWOT analysis, prompt list, assumption analysis, we are just getting list of all the risk. We are not doing any analysis on them. Just we are getting the list of all the risk. Once we have the list of all risk, we do qualitative analysis on them. Qualitative analysis is done through probability multiplied by impact. What is meant by qualitative analysis is that we are making that these risks are high, these risks are low, and these risks are medium. We are qualitatively seeing how these risks are being done. The major purpose of this process is that now you have some risk on which you can focus. Now you can focus on those high risk or maybe very high or medium risk, and you can put low risk in your watch list. It enables PM to reduce the level of uncertainty and to focus on high priority risk. These are the ITTOs. Now, perform quantitative risk analysis. Here, where basically you check the value of that risk, how much money is needed in order to tackle that risk. Here we do sensitivity analysis, Monte Carlo analysis, influence diagram analysis. Now, in exam, if the question is which risk assessment process can be eliminated, this is the process which can be eliminated. In most of the project you don't do quantitative risk analysis, so this process is mostly eliminated because it is a costly analysis process. Most of the time project manager don't know or don't have the resources to conduct this process. Then you plan the risk response. Here you are planning for negative as well as positive risk. Always remember, risk is an uncertain event which can have positive or negative impact on any of the objective. Positive risk are called opportunity, negative risk are called threats. So you manage the negative risk by avoiding them or by mitigating them, by transforming them, or maybe by accepting them or escalating them. You utilize the positive risk by exploiting them, by enhancing them, by sharing them, by accepting or escalating them. Now here you have a risk register with all the risk, with high, medium, low, and if you have done quantitative risk analysis, you also have the money value or the schedule value of that risk, and you have positive and negative responses for your risk. And now you implement those risk response in execution phase, and you monitor those risk response, you track, identify risk, you see, do you still have residual risk or do you have secondary risk. By implementing the first risk, you have a secondary risk. You are evaluating your risk response plans. You are trying to monitor the new risk. You are doing risk audits, risk reassessment, checking the variance and trend analysis, technical performance analysis, reserve analysis. And once you are done with this, your risk management is done. This is one of the most important and difficult process. If you have any question for this process, please write in the question. Okay. Now we do the procurement. In procurement planning, we are saying whether to do make or buy analysis, whether we want to buy this thing or not, whether we want to have this thing by ourselves. We are identifying the potential sellers, specifying which approach to use, whether to acquire goods or services from outside or not, how much to acquire, when to acquire, from where to acquire. We do market research, make or buy analysis. We do source selection criteria. What are the source we need to select? How these source are basically managed? We do all those analysis. Then we conduct the procurement. In this process, the basically we are executing the procurement processes. Then we are controlling our procurement. Very important process. We are ensuring that all the procurement are managed in the best possible way. We are monitoring the contract performance. We are managing changes and correcting all the changes to the contract. We are ensuring both sellers and buyer performance meet the procurement requirement. Very important thing. We close the procurement in this process. We close the procurement in control procurement process. We ensure that the procurements are controlled. So then we move towards stakeholder management. We identify stakeholder. This lays the foundation for success, that we know what are our stakeholders. The right stakeholders give us the head start in our project. We know what do they want. We see who is the closest stakeholder, what does he want, how we can manage all the stakeholders and identify stakeholder. We identify all the people, groups or organization that can be impacted or they perceive themselves to be impacted the project decisions, activity or outcome. We analyze their impact. We see how we can increase their influence. We utilize power interest matrix. We utilize salience models and other technologies. Now we have advanced technology to identify the stakeholders. We plan their engagement so that we understand their need, interest, impact. We develop strategies to manage them through mind mappings to stakeholder engagement metrics in the stakeholder engagement plan. And then we actually manage their engagements. We communicate with them. We find out what are their needs, expectations. Do they have any issues? Do we need to increase their support or we need to minimize their support? Maybe they are resistant to the project. We need to minimize that resistance. We enhance the success of that project. We manage their engagement through communication skill, interpersonal and team skill. Then we monitor their engagement, their relationship. We tailored their approach according to the process and we increase the efficiency of our communication to monitor stakeholder engagement process. These are the ITT of monitor stakeholder and engagement process. And that complete or 49 processes. So if you have any questions so far, again, basically this is for the deliverable. I called it as the deliverable journey. The in
Right.
develop project charter, you get that we are going to produce this deliverable, we get a project charter. In develop project
Mhm.
management, we have project management plan. Then direct and
Mhm.
manage work, deliverables are produced. Now this is called deliverable journey. Now deliverable goes to quality control and get verified deliverable. Then if the deliverable is accepted, it goes to validate scope and become accepted deliverable. If deliverable is not accepted, it goes to change control. It goes to perform integrated change control, and where its impact is checked, it is a preventive action, it is a corrective action, how it will impact to the other objective, and the change is accepted or denied according to that. It's the same from quality control and validate scope. And if both processes are accepted, the project get closed. This is called basically as deliverable way you can understand. Makes your notes like this. This process is from this knowledge area and this process group. For example, let's take the example of monitor stakeholder engagement. Monitor stakeholder engagement is from which knowledge area? It is from stakeholder knowledge area and monitoring and control process group. The main purpose of this process is to monitor the engagement of stakeholders, how they are engaged. So the major output will be update into stakeholder engagement plan. The major input will be work performance data, monitor communications, monitor communication, project communication plans, that these will be major output. So what will be the major input in this process? So you can write what will be the major input. Can anyone tell me what would be the major input? You have 10 seconds. And similarly, what are the major tools and technique for this process? Do this for all 49 processes. Just these 5 steps. Do this for all 49 processes and all your all your processes will be cleared. Just do this for all 49 processes and all your processes will be cleared. This is one of the best way to remember anything in the process. And I would suggest that you make your own flashcard to understand how the process worked, how the process moved from one process to another, how to remember 49 processes. We will also make another masterclass on this. Let's do one or two questions because as you mentioned that this is very difficult to understand what should the project manager do. So let's do one or two questions. So please be active and answer this question. You and your project team have just developed a request for proposal and a procurement statement of work. What are you likely to do next? So what do you do next? This are the type of question that you are going to see. So what will be the answer? Please write in the chat box in 10 seconds. What will be the answer? You must break down your question, exam question. What are the main points? You and your project team have just developed request for proposal. You have developed request for proposal and a procurement statement. What do you do next? Complete the make or buy analysis. No, you are already made request for proposal. So you don't do complete or make or buy analysis. You don't need that. Select the winning bidder. No, you shouldn't do that. And you shouldn't negotiate the contract. You should advertise the process. The key thing is procurement statement of work is net ready. Procurement statement of work is ready. So whoever said the A answer is the right answer. So let's do another question. Your organization is new to project management. They are looking to you for direction. Which of the following should be developed before the project charter? Which of the following should be developed before the project charter? Focus on before and the project charter. So project management plan is not the answer. Requirement documentation is not the answer. C is not the answer. So this was a very easy question. Answer is business case. So let's go with the next question. You are 12 months into 14 months project, 12 months into 14 months project and just have completed several deliverables. What are you likely to do next? What should do next? You have done 12 months and now you are completed 12 months deliverable. What you should do next? You don't do perform product analysis. You do in the scope development. You have customer inspect the deliverable. No, you don't do product requirement. You inspect the deliverables. You inspect the deliverables. So has anyone answered right? Yes. Many people has answered. Irfan has answered. Good Irfan. So let's move forward. Your team has determined unit of measures, level of precision, level of accuracy as it relates to the cost. What are you likely to do next? Answer this question. Units of measures are done, precision is done, level of accuracy is done. What you should do next? Cost aggregation? No, you should not do. Unit of measures are next. You do funding limit? No. Critical path? No. Straightforward question. What you should do next when you have precision and level of accuracy? You make parametric estimation. So who has answered right? C. Irfan, good. So let's go with the next question. Your project is running 4 weeks behind schedule. It is suggested that you take corrective action to bring the project back on schedule. No additional resources are available. What will you do next? No resources are available. So this is one thing very clear. You cannot do crashing. You cannot do resource level the project. You cannot do resource smoothing. The correct answer is C, and that is fast track the project. So let's see another question. You have provided training and team building to the member of your project team. What are you likely to do next? What are you likely to do next? Guys, answer me. You cannot develop the project organizational chart. This is an absurd option. Eliminate it. You are not going to do trend analysis. You are not going to do analogous. You are going to, you have done training and team building. So the only logical answer is the A answer in this question. Okay, manage conflict. Now let's do, I think this will be the last question. You have just completed developed option, selecting strategy and agreeing on the action to address overall project risk. What are you likely to do the next? What are you likely to do next? You have developed option strategies. What you will do next? Develop your methodology? No. Qualitative? No. Execute approved risk response. Execute approved risk response. Okay, let's this make this last question. Okay, guys, just write the answer. I'm not going to solve this question. Your team has been struggling with the quality since the start of the project. You have been just publishing your tests and evaluation. What you are likely to do next? You have 5 seconds. Write your answers. Okay. So the right answer is the option. A very good question. So this was all about it. I hope you had fun. If you have any query, you can always reach me at Facebook, or you can WhatsApp me at 0300 389 200, or you can email me. It has been a fun journey. I hope you have enjoyed this class.